Most traders are just trading blindly. They're just following their gut feeling. And this is honestly the wrong way to trade. What if I told you artificial intelligence has gotten so advanced it can nearly predict the stock market? Yes, with tools like ChatGPT, you can use it to analyze chart patterns, analyze upcoming news or events, or even look into the market narrative. In this video, I'm going to break down how I utilize ChatGPT to make money every single day in the stock market. So without wasting more time, let's kick it off to the video. Okay, guys, welcome back to the video. Now, the first question on everyone's mind is why exactly should you trust me? Well, let me give you some insight as to who I am. My name is Neil, and I've been working with ChatGPT quite extensively since it came out. I've posted thousands of conversations with ChatGPT, and I've learned how to perfect questions to the AI. Also, I've worked at numerous fintech companies that specialize in AI for the stock market. I've worked on developing that software as well as utilizing that software for my own personal trades. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to the AI in the financial technology industry. And to give you some more insights as to him, I'm going to first start off by asking ChatGPT, give me insights into my current usage. Compare that with others. If you can, put it in a percentile. How do I mainly use ChatGPT for stock investments? And let's send that question in. It says your usage of me isn't casual, like ask me the weather nonsense. You're grinding this thing like a Bloomberg terminal. Compared to the broader user base, you're in the top few percent of depth and volume of use. Most people just ask ChatGPT a random question every week or so, but I'm running multi-hour long sessions, splitting in tickers, option setups, prop firm rules, etc. But usually what I use it for is market narrative building and also trade idea generation and also just validating all my ideas. I use it as a tool to support my thesis on different stocks that I'm trading. I use it quite extensively. And what I've learned is ChatGPT, unfortunately, it's not meant for the stock market, but you can utilize specific plugins to help it become for the market. For example, if you go right over here into this tab area, this GPTs, if we go to this GPTs area, we can see different versions of ChatGPT that have various different training built in. For example, there's GPTs that will write for you, or astrology or scholar GPT. I specifically like to scroll down to the research and analysis and utilize the finance and economics GPT. GPT specifically built for the stock market. And if we start a chat with that, I'm going to show you some insights into the questions I ask. Usually I start off by asking simple questions to get overall view of the macro picture, the larger picture. And the first question I ask it is, give me the current stock market narrative. What is happening in the overall market? Top gainers, and top losers. Which sectors are performing today? And give me insights into the overall market. And it's going to pull from various different news sources outlining what the narrative is. As you can see, the S&P has risen almost 0.5%. NASDAQ about the same as well. And it looks like the Dow was also up 0.3%. So the overall market, it climbed today. The Russell led the peak by rising by around 0.8%. And the S&P is near an all-time high. Tech, financials, industrials are all moving because of a potential Fed rate cut. It says Boeing was a nice winner today. It led up 3%. EchoStar roughly 70% up. Crazy, 70% up in a day. And it looks like that is related to wireless spectrum license. XPeng grew 5%. Eli Lilly climbed 4%. Industrials, financial, and healthcare are all the sectors that have been performing well. And it looks like investors reallocating capital to fit that overall picture, to get into those sectors. Now we can ask ChatGPT, let's ask it to analyze more of those macro news events. So analyze current and past Fed speak within the last month. What are the overall percentage probability of a rate cut in the next meeting? Obviously, interest rates, they impact the stock market, and looking into the interest rate really matters. You can find specific sectors that will do well with lower rates, and you can even analyze it to explain some of the Fed communication over the month. So specifically, it highlights Powell's Jackson Hole summit, where Jerome Powell notably shifted to more of a dovish stance, implying that he's going to cut rates, even though he did cite that there's been a weakening labor market and inflation also lingers. He was more dovish this last press conference. And actually, the probability of a rate cut is actually around 86% now, some around 86, 87%. So yeah, it looks like the market is in a high likelihood of a 25-point rate cut in September. And it looks like we most likely will be getting those rate cuts. So we can even ask it, what are some sectors that can benefit from a rate cut in September? What are some sectors that can benefit from a rate cut? Technology, lower interest rates reduces their discount rate, which values high growth tech companies. So that could be something to focus on. Big tech, Apple, Microsoft, NVDA. Consumer discretionary, usually with less rates, lower rates increases more borrowing and boosting demand for essential goods and services. Amazon can do well, Target, even car manufacturers like Tesla can do well, financials, real estate, industrials, utilities. Overall, the whole market improves and does well when rates are cut, even just the slightest bit. And so we can see a lot more of interest in these technology names. I want to focus on that specifically. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me 3 breakout stocks in the technology sector. Make sure the stocks are increasing on heavy volume. But we want to find 3 breakout stocks so that we can have a game plan for the rest of this week. Let's see what it says. 3 breakout stocks: NVIDIA, SMCI, AppLovin, Toast, Magnet. Let's look at some of these charts. I've actually got TradingView pulled up right over here. Let's look at NVIDIA's chart. NVIDIA is the largest company in the world. It does look like it's close to a breakout, very close to all-time highs. Maybe tomorrow we can see a nice green candle, bullish engulfing candle to the upside, breaking that all-time high and pushing maybe towards the 185 or 190 points. So that looks like a nice risk to reward setup on NVIDIA. Let's look at SMCI, another chip manufacturer. I'd say this is not necessarily a breakout, but it does have room to potentially run for the upside. There's definitely this gap that it can fill. I don't know about this one. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let's zoom out. Yeah, I mean, this could potentially go if NVIDIA also goes. I'd say let's look at the other one that I recommended, AppLovin APP. Let's look at that. This also looks like a nice breakout. Looks better than NVIDIA in my opinion. This is the weekly chart. Let's look at the daily. Yeah, the daily looks like it's about a breakout, maybe another high volume day. Looks like the volume has been higher than normal. This could potentially run as well, AppLovin. And let's look at one more, TOST. So this is another company. Looks like more of a buy the dip opportunity, not necessarily near that resistance level. As you can see, ChatGPT, although it has some flaws, it more or less does whatever you ask it to do. It can find those breakout stocks, it can summarize them, make your analysis a lot shorter. Like, it just took me 5 minutes just to analyze 3 or 4 stocks, and now I have them on my radar for this week. Let's even ask ChatGPT to, let's see here, list 3 large cap stocks that have been trending upwards for the past month and that have had recent positive earnings / bullish news, and consider how strong they are relative to the sector. Explain your analysis on why these 3 stocks can make a big move. So we said list 3 large cap stocks that have been trending upwards for the last month. Looks like Apple has been trending up very nicely. This is a 1-month chart. Looks like it's doing well. Let's pull it up on TradingView, APL. Yeah, it looks like Apple has been in a nice uptrend. Let's look on the weekly. The uptrend is definitely intact. Also looks like it still has some room to run towards all-time highs. Let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft looks like it's starting to dip right now. We would definitely want to see some support being established before we enter long into this one. But let's look at Google as well. GOGL. Google looks like a nice breakout. It's past its overall previous swing high, and it looks like its volume has been pretty high as well. Google looks nice here. I'm going to add that to my watch list. I'm going to be watching Google. Let's look at the daily chart. That was the weekly chart. Daily looks good as well. I see we had a small retracement, but now that retracement looks very small. We could see potentially a lot of volume come in tomorrow and see a huge breakout on Google. But that looks good. So yeah, you can utilize ChatGPT for highlighting trades that you should be eyeing. It makes it a lot more efficient to create a watch list and find trades that have lots of room to run. But beyond stocks, you can ask ChatGPT specific information about earnings or about insights into company. You can do fundamental analysis with ChatGPT. And I'm going to ask it a question. Identify 3 companies reporting earnings this week that have had historically post-earnings moves. Average, explain average, percentage, swing, sentiment, and sector. Let's ask it that question. Identify 3 companies reporting earnings this week that have had large post-earnings moves, explain their average percentage, and also explain the sentiment and sector. NVDA, it looks like we have earnings coming up tomorrow after the close. That's obviously going to be a big one, definitely moves the market. Expected move is actually 6%, which is below the long-term average move of 7.7%. So we're looking for a little bit more lighter reaction on NVIDIA. Now that could actually present some upside for us, because we have the average implied move is a lot larger than what the market is expecting. So there might be divergence within that. Looks like MongoDB is a technology stock. It actually has an expected swing of 15.93%. So it looks like that could be a big move for earnings coming up. And also OKT. So yeah, we analyzed the earnings that are coming up with a few different stocks. And I like to go back to NVIDIA's earnings. Those are coming up tomorrow. And like I said earlier, it's close to that breakout range. So we can easily see a nice green day tomorrow during its earnings. The last question I'm going to ask ChatGPT to show you the power of this tool is explaining a little bit more concepts in terms of option trading. That's what I focus on. So now I'd like to know of exact ways to trade these trades. And let's take NVIDIA, for example. NVIDIA has earnings tomorrow. Explain 2 different trades I could do to capitalize on the movement if I believe it will be larger than expected, and give me 1 lower risk and 1 higher risk. Can be multi-leg trades. So let's give 2 option trades that we could do on NVIDIA for tomorrow. Looks like we could do an buy an at-the-money call plus an at-the-money put, which is actually a strangle, I believe. And we'd buy the 180 call and the 180 put. That does lower our risk because, we can make money on both ways, but we need the move to be overall larger than the cost, larger than the expected move in order for us to profit from this trade. Another trade is a little bit more higher risk, higher reward, long strangle with wings. So an iron condor conversion, and it gives the trade breakdown. And it says the pros are lower premium compared to the straddle. And also if NVIDIA doesn't move far enough beyond the strike legs, these trades might lose a little bit more. So yeah, now we have 2 option trade strategies that we can easily put on for NVIDIA's earnings. And that shows you the power of this AI, the power of ChatGPT to utilize it in the stock market. You can come up with some pretty awesome to the stocks that you're trading. And these insights can be very useful when coming up with trade ideas, when analyzing even further. Instead of just relying on gut feeling, you can utilize statistical reasoning that ChatGPT provides to come up with better trade ideas. If you like this type of content, I'm going to be doing it a lot more in the future. I'm going to be showing you how you can utilize AI to help you in the stock market. If you like this content, please give it a like and subscribe and comment on the video, and I will gladly reach out to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and this is Neil out.